Good morning. Good morning. This is Laura from Healing with Spirit. It is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021, with Here for Mornings with Laura. And there's a lot to cover. So Mercury is going direct today. So things should start improving on the communication front. We're going to be in the shadow period for the next 2 weeks. So be mindful that you may not be fully out of it depending on where you're at. We have the full moon coming up on Thursday, and Jupiter just went retrograde. So there's a lot of changes happening. We also had the Schumann's resonance that went offline, where data was offline for 5 full days. So the thought process behind that is that the energy was so high at the time that it couldn't even be registered. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now. So I encourage you to please chime in. The comments are everything. Engagement is everything. The algorithms speak when you engage. So it is hugely important that you, even if you just say, hey, hi, I'm here, even if you're watching this on replay. So please definitely check in. The cards for the day, or this is the card for the week. Surrender to your soul's path, which is a card that keeps repeating over and over and over. So it's when I see those things repeating over and over and over, those are messages that we really need to heed, that we're think we're listening to, but maybe we're not fully, okay? Because there's a lot that we think we know that we really don't know until we know, right? So that's why in my lineage out of Japan, our founder created a level that he himself never obtained. And that was because to always maintain the mindset of the student. Because once you think you know it all, once you think you're there, you actually find out you're really not, right? So that's part of the evolution of us as human beings. We're here for life lessons. We're here to grow. And our souls know better than us right now. Our souls are beckoning for us to listen to it. This is a 5-year in numerology, as I stated in the January forecast. And if you missed that, I can post the link in the comments below. But it really talked about listening to that soul path and balancing the egoic needs with the spirit needs. And how do we balance the yin and the yang, right? The ego, the soul, the masculine, the feminine, right? It's the balance, this is the duality. Now, interestingly, last week we had the card for Raven, and this week we have the Magpie. And I pulled from 2 different decks, and they're both in the Crow family. So Crow magic is really strong right now, and it's really important for us to listen to it. So and what it says on the card is basically the proper use of secret knowledge. And this is what came to mind when I read that, okay? This is what came to mind. And this is some of the things that started happening last year. We are awakening, folks. And sometimes when we awaken or we come out of a cocoon or we start going into cocoon, it is very uncomfortable. Humans as a species don't like change. And we are very resistant, okay? It's like we are the 2 or 3-year-old toddlers that like to have a temper tantrum when things don't go our way, right? So what comes to mind when I read that, proper use of secret knowledge, and it really speaks to the spiritual community especially. We have whitewashed, we have really desanctified a lot of sacred teachings for euphoria, for getting a quick fix, for an addictive positivity, okay, or sometimes we call it toxic positivity. And some of these things I'm going to say might feel uncomfortable, and I'm hoping if you are here that you stay, because you're meant to hear this message, and I'm hoping I say this in a way that is inspirational and moving to you, not painful for you, okay, because that's my goal. Because I have been working on, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface, and I feel like I have a lot of lifetimes of work to do on the decolonizing my own mindset and to become more aware of how maybe we inadvertently whitewash sacred teachings, whether in yoga, Reiki, meditation, all these things. Do we recognize when we use these sacred teachings that are not from our own lineage, right? Because a lot of us are from European, Anglo-Saxon type backgrounds, right? And those have been wiped out from us because of what has happened between the Romans and the British, right? Taking out our own indigenous teachings. So I understand the need to gravitate to indigenous cultures that were able to hold on to rooted sacred teachings and haven't lost them despite all of the colonization that has happened over a millennia, okay, if not more than a millennia. Okay, but it is important for us to stop and pause when we go and use these sacred teachings. Do we recognize the indigenous cultures that it comes from? Do we honor its roots fully? Do we give back financially, right, to a culture we borrowed from? So like if we are a yoga teacher, do we give back to certain ashrams in India? Do we use shamanic healing and drumming? And do we give back to whatever native tribes we borrowed from? And if we don't know where we borrow from, seek a tribe out just in gratitude to say thank you, because we wouldn't have these knowledge, these teachings, without them keeping alive, and they are still today being persecuted by the white man. So us, especially us that identify as white folk, it's important for us to, if we're going to be using these secret knowledges, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's important to recognize, honor, culturally appropriate, and also give back. The magpie is here to remind us of that. This is the soul path. The patriarchy is really a messed up thing. We have been gaslighted for centuries to believe a certain way to be, to live, to act, or to react. And if we are off that narrative, we are deemed a troublemaker. Okay, I know I have been deemed a troublemaker because I'm a truth seeker and I stand up to oppression. And it started off with animals being abused when I was a kid to women being abused, to then going into, and it just keeps adding, right? So what comes to mind when I think of that is Joan of Arc. But times are changing. We are evolving. Our souls, that spirit within of us, have such a greater wisdom than any of us combined. And only our souls know the truth. So it's really important. Like I keep hearing these things about Juneteenth, and how Juneteenth is a performance. By making it a national holiday, it's performance. It's a performance act unless we actually do something where slavery, in a sense, or systemic oppression is eradicated. It's just done in a different way, okay? So we can tap into our truth by silencing our minds, our beliefs that we have been indoctrinated to believe. We just have to have the courage to step forward and know, like if we're getting these aches in our belly, if we're getting tensions in our muscles, it's because we're not stopping, pausing, and listening. The course that I have, the power of the word, the power of the pause, and the power of processing goes right into this. It goes into the how are we not listening, and what do we listen when we change the narrative, and what are those messages? And we have some profound awakening and some profound things when we can stop, pause, and listen. So the magpie, as I mentioned before, is associated, which is about using the proper knowledge, sacred knowledge properly, right? And it's associated with ancient witchcraft. It's been associated with familiars. It's related to the crow family. It's considered, part of the wisdom and magic keepers. So when magpie appears, so we look at all that, right? Because that's the message that I heard. But now how do we apply the magpie and the surrender the soul's path to all of this, right? So when magpie appears, that means you might be getting increased knowledge, right? You might be getting info that's coming your way. And some of that might be showing up as resistance, by the way, or maybe like I said, like a little 2-year-old that's inside, that's kicking and screaming and saying, but no, I want this. And then the other part of you saying, but no, but this is how it has to be, because we're stuck here and don't even know it, right? So usually this knowledge, when it comes, is going to be secretive. It's going to be metaphysical or somewhere in the spiritual kind, right? That could be also coming from the soul that's within, that's trying to say, hello, I'm here. Are you listening to me? It can also mean that our instincts or our psychic ability has been heightened. Now, when we look at like the Schumann's resonance that's been off grid, hello, that could be part of the things, because I notice when that happens, things, because we're electrified by our great mother. Our energy is electrified, okay? Our circuitry is electrified. So it's important for us to use this knowledge carefully, whether we have, and to also have a plan B, have alternative plans for the use of this knowledge when it appears. Maybe it's more than we can handle. Maybe it's incomplete information and we're struggling with, but I don't know what to do because I feel like I'm only getting a portion of it. Well, that's important because that's when we can stop, pause, and just wait for the rest of it to come. Because repercussions also need to be considered if we act too hastily or if we come from a reactionary standpoint versus an action standpoint, right? A balanced, centered action forward versus a reactionary step forward. So expect new psychic perceptions, expect new magic. The MAGPIE is here to show us how to use this knowledge responsibly in an effective way. Now, when we look at the numerology, right? Again, just like last week, we are in a 6th month. So I see that as a relational. That's like if you read tarot cards, that's the Lover's card in tarot. And a lot of that I have been seeing it more about the relational with your own spirit, with your own soul, with your own self, that for the past year, more so than relational with others, because the others is going to morph and change the more that you morph and change with the relationship with your own spirit, right? Now, in the 22, that's a master number, right? So that's something that things are heightened right now. That duality piece is really heightened today on a day where Mercury went direct, okay? So things might be heightened. That duality, you might even feel a little bipolarish today, okay? So things are heightened. The duality is really heightened today. And it's heightened in the areas of practicality. So again, like we're thinking relational because it's a relational month, the number 6, in a 5-year, okay? So things are changing. Everything that we ever thought, everything we ever believed is changing. And this is the year to get that change done, to not fight it. Because if we're fighting it, we might end up spending the next 10, 20, if not the rest of our lives, figuring out going, damn, now we have to wait till the next life to really, because we didn't listen. We didn't do the work. Okay, so this is the time to really stop, pause, and listen. Now, when we add all the numbers up together, it's a 15-6 day. So again, that's the same numbers we look at like last week with the 15 also showed up last week. It's relational. That means new things are trying to come up for you. Again, that new knowledge, that new instincts, that new stuff is trying to emerge. There's changes happening, right? That's the 15 kind of saying this. And it's all in the relational aspect. And to trust that, guess what? Your spirit, your soul knows better than you. And MAGPIE is here to guide you and to light the way. So the meditation portion, what we're going to do is we're going to call in, first of all, find your center, find your balance. And then we're going to call in the MAGPIE to see whatever it is that we need to see, hear, feel, whatever it is, to call in the MAGPIE to help you in whatever block or challenge you might be facing with, okay? For some reason, I'm not seeing comments today, so I will have to check afterwards, but please check as I will be commenting afterwards. So let's get started with the meditation. So get yourself centered, get yourself grounded. And I want to make sure, is what I'm sharing with you, are you resonating with it? Because that's hugely important because, I want to know how much of this shit is mine. All right. And how much of it really is relating to what you're going through and what you're experiencing. And is it really resonating and is it giving you some hope and direction for where we're going? Okay. It's hugely important to me because that also drives me in my desire to keep doing these for you. All right. So take a deep breath into that power center. We're going to do it 3 times. In through the mouth. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. Just to find your center, find your balance. Now taking that breath in, holding it, and we're going to redirection it out through the hands and through the feet. And as we're doing so, we're going to be calling in the medicine of the magpie. We're going to be acknowledging the indigenous lands that we reside on, the ancient wisdom keepers. Where I am is the Massachusetts people. And I'm acknowledging their existence, their pains, everything on the land and the blood that was shed on the land that I reside on. And I'm also calling in for their guidance and their wisdom if they would like to guide us today with the help of the magpie. And the elementals. And the 4 directions. Surrendering to all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. Asking the magpie to show us whatever it is that we need to see that is unseen. Ask us to hear whatever it is that we need to hear. To feel whatever it is that we need to feel that is unfelt. Or maybe we need our voice. Maybe the magpie is here to show us how to use our voice where we have been once silenced. Surrendering all thought patterns. If thoughts arise, acknowledge their existence and just see them as a fleeting cloud moving by, thanking them, and then bringing yourself back to your breath. Back to the medicine of the magpie. The medicine of your soul, the medicine of the ancients. Honoring all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. And we're going to go silent. Giving thanks to all that is, all that was, all that shall be. Giving thanks to the MAGPIE for its medicine that is given us today to carry forward, to move throughout the day, through the week, as we navigate these continuing changes of change. We give thanks to our Great Mother, to our Father Sun, to all the elementals, to the four directions, to the ancestors of the land that are here guiding us, to our own ancestors, still guiding us and showing us the way, and for our souls trying to light the fire from within, to show us the way. Give thanks to it all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. When you're ready, you may open your eyes, move your hands, and move your feet. Share in the comments below. Let me know what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Let me know if you're getting a benefit out of these Facebook Lives. If you are, please consider becoming a Patreon member for $5, as little as $5 a month, or make a donation. You can Venmo me or PayPal me to help keep these going. That would be great. We're going to end with the Gokai class for the Japanese Chicken and Reiki training I'll be doing in my home at the end of the month. I posted a link to get notifications in the group, so make sure you scroll if you are interested in learning or repeating if you were already certified. Here we go. Kyo dakiwa ikaruna shimpai suna kanchaste gyo hagame shitoni shinsetsu ni. Kyo dakiwa ikaruna shimpai suna kanchaste gyo hagame shitoni shinsetsu ni. Kyo dakiwa karuna shimpai suna kanchaste gyo hagame shitoni shinsetsu ni. Thank you for being with me this Tuesday. I apologize for the delay. Something in spirit is telling me we might be doing these at 9 a.m. instead of 8:30, so bear with me. And because the internship that I am doing at Gavin House is taking a lot of energy. So, not to mention, 30 hours, 20 to 30 hours of my time extra every week. So, for the summer. So I thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you have a great Tuesday. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon.